Hey, welcome to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you enhance your real estate business, to grow your real estate business, to make sure you don't end up getting burnt out. And I know it looks like I'm just like a little guy like popping up here from the bottom of the screen here. But we come to you from Tampa School Real Estate Studios every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, again to help you grow, develop, mastermind, enhance your real estate business. This week we've got a great topic for you guys. We're talking specifically about how to stay motivated, which is an essential part of any business venture. Whether you're in sales, whether you're in real estate, whatever it is that you're in. There we go, now you can see me. Whatever it is that you're in, this show today is going to help you kind of tap into what it is that you need to stay motivated and overall just enhance your business. So let's talk about what happens when you stop feeling motivated, when you're no longer feeling motivated. Can we bring the camera down a little bit too? So when you're not feeling, there we go, now you guys get the full effect. So when you guys aren't feeling motivated, what happens? And we've got the chat loaded up for you guys here too today, so put it in the comments because I want to hear from you guys so we can help make this a little bit more relatable to you guys out there watching today. Got both Facebook and YouTube logged in here, so put your comments in the chat box in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this with your friends and family. But what typically happens when you stop being motivated about something, typically, and this almost always is the least common denominator, it's whatever it is that you're doing doesn't align with your long-term goals, with what it is that your ultimate purpose is. And maybe you say, John, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Well, let me ask you this then. Do you absolutely know what your ultimate major purposes and goals are? Because that's really the key essential part of making sure you're lining up with these goals is, number one, to know what those goals and what your purpose truly is. And even if you're in a job that it is that you don't like, if that somehow factors into being part of your purpose, or even if it's a job you love, I'm sure there's aspects of that job that aren't your favorite part of it. I mean, in the real estate industry, for example, it's great working with people and helping people move into a home that they're going to love, or helping an investor acquire some sort of property or anything like that. So it's very rewarding when you're doing those things, and that feels really good. But let's talk about, maybe getting that business in the first place, getting to that ultimate feel-good type of moment. And there's some things that you won't like probably along that process. Maybe to meet these people in the first place, you got to go out there knocking on some doors. And yeah, it gets tough, especially now, man. We had a couple days of it being cool out, but we're back to like 100+ temperatures here, getting real sweaty here in Florida. So I feel you if you're out there knocking on the doors and you're getting most of the doors not even open. But rather than kind of just throwing in the towel, giving up on all of that, if you're able to kind of keep in mind where that end goal actually lies, what that end goal actually looks like when you finally have that moment of helping somebody get into a property, finally having that moment of turning a renter into a home buyer. They don't have any plans on moving. They've just been paying rent month after month after month after month, and they really should be owning a home, but they thought they couldn't do it, but you made that possible. You helped make that possible for them. That's a good feeling. But what it takes to get that client in front of you, because this person that's beat up, living in some rental property, when they're going to be better off owning a property. So they're renting, and they're going to be better off owning the property. But that person that's renting, and the reason why they've been renting for so long is because they're like, I like it here. I would never be able to buy a home anyways. So they're not going to go out looking for you. They're not going to go out looking for you. They're down and depressed, and they've come to terms with their situation. But if you even think that you could help make their lives better, notice how we're kind of having that shift from, I don't want to go knock on doors and like pester people and bug people and people don't want to talk to me. You're changing that thinking from, hey, look, I know you probably love it here, but what if I could show you something better? Would you consider something better? Would you consider buying a home if I could show you how that's possible, because they might not think it's possible. So you're there to be their saving grace, their savior that comes in to show them the light. And I mean, whether it's any of these people that go knocking on the doors, the people that love doing that and enjoy doing that, they're doing it for the clients it is that they're talking to. So they know when somebody doesn't answer the door, or maybe they close the door in their face, okay, that wasn't a person that needed my help. But eventually you find somebody that needs your help. And that's what you're there to do. Yes, you're going to make some money in the process. That's how the free market works. You get paid for helping people solve their problems, even if it's a problem they don't necessarily know that they have. Look at for instance, like diets today, and how concerned people are with organic and non-GMO and all of these things that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. This concept of preservatives being bad for you and not wanting chemicals in your food. People didn't know that was a bad thing. People would just end up dying. They'd get cancer, they'd get diabetes, and maybe there's other causes behind this, but the diet's a huge part of that, and there's the science now to prove that. But before that science existed, and I guarantee you, these people that kind of made these initial kind of discoveries of eating better and eating healthier, and that these preservatives are bad and chemicals are bad and so on and so forth, and the people that were discovering that, they were facing an uphill battle. So they were facing an uphill battle, because I guarantee you the food industry is a huge industry, and they're not somebody to be messed with, and they're not going to take somebody taking their business away lightly. But they know that they were solving somebody's problems. They were solving problems that the consumers didn't even know that they had. So like I said, we're making an entire shift here. The people that invented organic foods, and maybe this, I don't know the exact story behind this. Maybe it was like, hey, let's make organic and we'll charge people a lot more money for it. I doubt that's the actual origins of organic and non-GMO and all these other things. That's maybe where greed has came into this down the road. But the initial start, the initial formulation of this idea of the whole start of this natural food and organic food and GMO, non-GMO and all that other stuff, that whole formulation of the industry was people saying, hey, these people don't even know how dangerous this is for them. There's this show that's on Netflix. I think it originally aired on Fox. It's the science, Neil deGrasse or whatever, Neil Tyson deGrasse or whatever his name is. He's got this show Cosmos on Netflix, and I wish I could remember the scientist's name, but there was this American scientist basically that I believe this was sometime around like the 50s or so, and he was making discoveries of the danger of lead. And if you've taken the real estate course, lead-based paint's a bad thing. If you're in the real estate industry, you got to have that disclosure about lead-based paint and so on and so forth. But that's only for older homes that you have to have that. Newer homes shouldn't have any sort of lead-based paint or lead-based anything in there. But before this discovery of the dangers of lead, the general public, it was in children's toys, it was in paint, it was your toothpaste tubes were made out of lead. So you had this toxic chemical that everyone had all around them constantly, and this scientist was like, whoa, this is dangerous, because the lead gets into your bloodstream and it like latches on and it takes the place of different chemicals that are supposed to be there, and it prevents those chemicals from being able to adapt, and it just totally messes with your body. I know I'm oversimplifying this a lot. I'm not a scientist, but and if you want to see the details of this, go check out that episode of Cosmos. But basically, he knew that there was this issue, and he had an uphill battle trying to go out there, because you would think that he'd be able to go out there and say, hey, lead is bad, don't use lead anymore, and everybody would be like, oh wow, look at that, lead is bad. But no, people didn't know lead was bad. So again, going back to how you could use this to keep yourself motivated, is that people will have some ignorance. And I'm not saying this to offend people or belittle the consumer, but especially if you're selling a product that they don't even know about, but may be able to solve a problem for them. Going back to our real estate example, you're knocking on the door of a renter and saying, hey, how would you like to buy? They might think that it's not possible for them to buy. While there's all these first-time home buyer programs, and even if you've got unless you've got the lowest credit score out there, you could usually get some sort of financing drawn up and whatnot. But hey, at least you should try. Because most of the time, most of these people, even maybe just with a couple corrections, it's amazing how much just a couple little tweaks will change your credit almost overnight. Well, probably over a couple of months. So these people don't even know that these possibilities exist. So you're there not to bug them, not to pester them. You're there to enlighten them and to offer a solution to a problem that maybe they know they have or maybe they don't know that they have. But either way, you'll definitely want to keep that in mind, because that's going to allow you to stay motivated when you're making calls and you don't want to make calls, and when you're knocking on doors when you don't want to knock on doors. Or maybe there's other parts of the process that you don't like that get you down and make you feel not motivated, maybe some rejection. We're going to talk about some more of that stuff after this quick commercial break. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Let me know what obstacles you guys are overcoming in your business, or what problems you have, because I'd love to help you guys solve your problems. So put those in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I've got both the comments loaded up here. Send those in on the commercials, but don't go anywhere. You're watching State of Real Estate. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation. Tampa 10 years.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you like the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you grow, mastermind, develop your business, whatever we could do to help you guys out. This is a live show, so you can send in your comments and let us know what you think, what questions you have. If you guys don't like what I'm saying, put it in the comments too. I've got thick skin, I could take it, and that's going to make our show better. But I think we're getting a lot of viewers tuning in both on Facebook and YouTube today, so I think you guys are liking the message that we have. So we're talking about today how to stay motivated, and this is something that I mean, it's really hard to wrap your mind around, or even if you're not feeling motivated, it's hard to even realize that you're not feeling motivated. It's hard to say, yeah, you know, I could use a little bit of a boost. I could use a little bit of a confidence tweak. That's probably not why you guys are here. I'm sure you guys are all motivated people. You're just trying to take that to the next level. But whatever reason, if you guys have obstacles you're overcoming, because that's usually what leads to this feeling of not feeling motivated. It's a couple different things it could be. Number one, you're not aligning with your purpose. And sometimes that just changes your thought process of your thinking. Maybe you're getting into real estate to help people. And going back to that example we had earlier of knocking on doors, and your thoughts, if you're thinking about you're knocking on doors and you're there to bug people, yeah, that's going to suck. That's going to be terrible. And that heat's going to feel that much hotter. Or if it's muggy and humid out, it's going to feel that much more humid if that's what's going on in your mind. Your mind's super powerful over your entire body. So you got to change your thought process. You're not going there to bug people. You're going there to help people, to help them solve a problem that they may or may not even know that they have. And now all of a sudden you're realigning with your purpose. You're not out there knocking on doors or making phone calls, making cold calls, or whatever it may be. Maybe you're cold calling for sale by owners, and that's a great way to get leads as well for potential sellers of properties. Or maybe you're cold calling expired listings, whatever it may be. When you're reaching out to these people, you don't want to go into this thinking yourself, because if you can't sell yourself, how are you going to sell somebody else? You got to sell yourself that you're there to provide a service. This for sale by owner, again, A big part of this here is that the consumers may be ignorant of what's going on. We talked about this rise of organic and GMO, non-GMO, and all this other natural food category. We talked about how lead was all of a sudden enlightened to be this major problem, and people didn't want to believe this at first. I mean, there's still some skepticism today about these new categories that come up and whatnot, but what it comes down to is it's hard to undo that ignorance. And I'm saying, using this word ignorance, not necessarily to offend anybody, but it's something that you don't know or doesn't align with your beliefs. And that's hard sometimes when what you have is true, and maybe the person that's being ignorant or whatever we want to call it, I'm trying to think of a nicer sounding word there, but that's really the best label to stick on it, is that they have this level of ignorance. You might be calling a for sale by owner saying, hey, look, this is a complicated process, and you're going to need my expert help in this. They're going to say, no, I don't. I've got this. I could do this. I've got Google. And they just don't know of all the problems they could get themselves into, or how much of even of a higher price. Maybe they do understand the logistics of the process of selling the property, which is a very complicated process, and just having the correct documentation, the proper contracts and forms and so on and so forth that you would need to transfer a property, that's already a huge problem that maybe they're able to solve, but chances are they're not solving that problem on their own, or not as easily as you could solve the problem. But then when it goes back to, well, I don't want to have to pay you money, then it goes back to, again, going back to what they don't know, the ignorance, for lack of a better term. I know that's an ugly label to stick on it, but we got to call it what it is. For their lack of knowledge of how much more they could sell their property when they have an expert marketer marketing that property for them. You might ask them, oh, so what have you been doing? And you don't want to go into this. So let's talk about some specifics here. I know we're kind of getting a little bit off topic here about the motivation aspect of this here, but I think this will kind of give you guys a little bit more insight onto what I'm talking about here. So let's say you're talking to this for sale by owner, and you're trying to basically explain to them that they don't know what they're doing, but you know what? Maybe they do know what they're doing. So what do you have to do as the person making this call, or whether you're knocking on doors? You can apply this in a lot of different situations. You have to find out what it is that they know. You have to find out what it is that they know, what research they've done about selling the property themselves, or what are they doing to market the property. They probably haven't done any research about selling the property themselves, other than maybe buying the for sale by owner sign or whatever it is that they've done to market this property on their own. So maybe that's not the best question to ask, but it is a question that you can work in there at some point to kind of talk about. So do you have all the contracts? What contracts it is you need? Don't ask, like, you see how I started it off? So do you have all the contracts? No, that's a bad question, because they'll just say yes. What documents did you have? I just want to make sure you have the appropriate documents. I can even send you over a couple sample ones so you get a look for what you need to sell this property. And they're going to see that you're offering value. And when you're going at this with a value-based approach, and this is where we're going to tie this all back into feeling motivated again and staying motivated. When you tie this back into the value it is that you're offering, this is how the free market works. You have something of value that solves somebody's problem. If you don't have something of value that's solving somebody's problem, so I've got some coffee here. This coffee is solving my problem of needing to be hydrated. It's solving my problem of needing a little bit of a caffeine fix. It's solving my problem of maybe just wanting something to sip on when maybe my throat's a little dry or whatever it may be. It's solving problems. That's why I'm willing to pay money for that product. Again, you have to think of what problem it is that you're solving, what value is it that you're offering, and then basically conveying that value in a perspective that makes sense to that particular person that you're talking to. And when you could present that, when you're actually there to solve somebody's problem, and you've presented how you can solve their problem, and there's no doubt about the fact of whether or not you're solving their problems. You know that you're solving a problem, and that's the first step, and then you could convince them that you could solve their problem. If they can afford the price, they'll pay the price. There may be the situations where they can't afford the particular price. And that comes back to you not understanding what situation they're in. Maybe they're in a situation where their value's here and their mortgage is right here. So they can't really afford to sell the property for anymore. So maybe they really can't use your services unless they're going to pay money out of pocket for your commission, which that's going to be a situation where, you can't sell everybody every single time. There's going to be people who don't need your product, or maybe they literally can't afford the product. Maybe they want to wait it out till the market goes up a little bit higher again, and then there is some room for commission money to be involved in there. But I mean, if they don't have the money to pay out of pocket and they're just trying to get out of that property, I mean, that's where you have a different product maybe that's got different value for them. Maybe you're just selling them the contracts it is that they need and you're not representing them in any way. There's a lot of ways you could go about this to still offer value, but that's not your typical situation. So I talked a lot about that aspect, but typically most people have some room. They have 6% in there, 7% or 4% or 5% or whatever it is that you're going to charge for that particular property. They usually have that little bit of percentage there of room to be paid out. Even if it is they're walking away from the property without anything, without any money, they're not walking away with any cash from the sale. If they're able to walk away breaking even, that's better than walking away losing money. And if they're doing it on their own, maybe there's the chance that they're not marketing it as well. Maybe they're not pricing it right. Maybe they're not presenting it as well. Maybe they don't have a third party in the middle negotiating for them. These are all things that drive down the value when you have a for sale owner doing it themselves. So you've got to understand the value it is that you're bringing to the table. And if your value does align with the needs and the problems that you're trying to solve for that particular consumer, that's motivating when you're solving problems. Because if you could show that you're solving their problem, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, let's sign the deal. And if that's not going to get you feeling motivated, I don't know what is. When you actually get them to buy in, you came to them saying, hey, look, I could solve your problem. They say, yes, you can solve my problem. I'm willing to pay you for solving my problem. They sign a document saying they're going to pay you for solving the problem. That gets you going. That gets you motivated here when you're actually making sales and making deals and what it is your purpose, what it is that you're doing, you're getting paid to do that's motivating. And the reason why that goes back to aligning with our purpose. Purpose, you're in real estate, it's some combination of this probably. You're there to help people out, help people buy homes, sell homes, help investors, whatever it is that you're there to help somebody do. If you're not in the real estate business to help, that's going to be tough on you, because it's kind of how this free market works again. You solve a problem, you're helping them solve the problem, they're paying you money for that. So it's those two things there, the two sides of this. You're helping them, you're solving a problem, they're paying you money. So those are the two reasons that you're basically here, and it's usually some sort of combination of that. It could go outside of that. Maybe the money doesn't matter so much for you, but maybe the security of your family matters to you, or maybe that you're able to take a nice vacation. Maybe that matters to you, or maybe you're not worrying if something, God forbid, some sort of medical emergency comes up and you have hospital bills and you can't pay those hospital bills. I mean, that's a little bit stressful. So even if you don't necessarily want the money, it's a good thing to have. And it's hard to find somebody that doesn't want money, because, regardless of the situation, money can't buy happiness and whatnot, but, that'll make a down payment on your happiness. That'll be able to afford the things that are going to make you happy. That'll be able to have you a lifestyle where you don't have to stress and worry about the elements, or worry about your protection, your safety, and so on and so forth. So you got to get clear on all of these different things and understand the importance of what it is that you're doing and how that aligns with your purpose. So we're going to take another quick commercial break, but now when we come back, we're actually going to get down to some daily things, some tactical, practical things you could implement in your daily life to help you align with your purpose and do actions every single day that are going to help you align with that purpose and overall keep you motivated. We're talking about staying motivated today. Put your questions and comments in the comment sections and make sure you share with your friends. You're watching State of Real Estate. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you like the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you jumpstart your real estate business. Or really today, we're talking about a topic that applies to everyone, not just to the real estate business. It's something that's essential in any business venture, not even business ventures, anything it is that you want to do. Maybe you want to learn how to play the piano. You're going to have to stay motivated when your clunky little fingers are kind of going all over the place on that thing. So staying motivated, this applies in really your entire life. Without motivation, you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You don't want to do the things it is that you have to do. So what this all goes back to for number one way to stay motivated is to make sure you're aligning every single day with your purpose. And in order to align with your purpose, you have to understand and be clear about what that ultimate major purpose is. If you don't know what your purpose is, you're gonna have a hard time aligning with your purpose. That's maybe you're like kind of like drifting through life. I'm sure you guys all know somebody that seems to kind of just be drifting around and trying a little bit of this, and I don't like that, maybe try this, I don't like that too much. So what you have to do first and foremost is get clear on what that end goal looks like. Understand what that finish line is for you, and maybe that finish line is gonna move. It should be moving throughout your entire life. You should never really end up crossing that finish line, but you should know which direction it is that you're heading in. So you got to know where that finish line is located at, number one. Understand what your purpose is, what your goals are, what it is that you want to achieve out of this life, and get very clear and intentional regarding that. So once you have an understanding of what it is you want your life to look like, now you can start taking these things that you're going to be doing to work yourself towards that. And maybe what you're doing right now isn't ultimately going to lead to what it is that you want to be doing. But maybe what you're doing right now is a step that does lead to this. So even if what you're doing now doesn't ultimately... So let me talk about something again a little bit more specific to real estate. We get a lot of people that come and take our classes here that are interested in investing in real estate. And hey, I don't blame you. Investing is a very... It's a lot more hands-off than selling real estate. It's definitely a lot less work, depending on the situation here, investing in real estate than it is selling real estate. But hey, what do you need to invest in real estate? You need money to invest in real estate. If you don't have money, that's the barrier to so many people being able to invest at levels that'll actually make a difference. If you're investing in a REIT, a real estate investment trust, and you're investing $1,000 in it, that's not gonna change your life. If you're investing $5,000 in a REIT, that's not gonna change your life. I don't care if you've got the best stock in the world, you bought Apple at this time and you sold it at this time. Unless you're talking over like 30 years, this isn't something that's going to change your life. You win the lottery, that'll change your life temporarily, but that's not going to solve a major problem for you. So you got to understand what you're doing. It's a constant, I don't like to use that word struggle, but it's a constant motion. It's a constant thing you have to be doing every day that you're working towards that ever-changing, moving finish line. Now, again, I said I was going to be tactical and practical with what we're talking about today of how you can make yourself actually align with your goals and what it is that you want to achieve out of your life, and make sure what you're doing today is a stepping stone getting you to that purpose. And hey, if it's not, if something in your life isn't help getting you closer, and no matter how much you try to rationalize it, it's not getting you closer to your goal, then, maybe that's where you got to make some changes. You make some changes so you can get on the track to actually achieving your goal. But like I said, sometimes there's these necessary evils that you have to do essentially to get to this ultimate end goal, and it's really not evil if it's something that's helping you get there. Going back to the real estate example, so again, we get a lot of people that want to invest in real estate, but you need the money to invest in real estate, and you got to have a large sum of money. You need at least $100,000 if you want to try to just invest in real estate and actually make a difference in your life, make a long-term difference in your life. But just because you don't have $100,000 now or $1 million now or even $10,000 now to go out and invest in whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's real estate or any sort of investment or venture or whatever it may be, if you don't have that money now, that's fine. That's the purpose that you want to get to. You ultimately want to maybe be a real estate investor, but now what's that path looking like getting to the money? Because if you can never get to that 10,000 or 100,000 or 50,000 or 500,000, whatever dollar amount it is that you need to be at that investor level where you're saying, okay, now I can actually invest in properties to get some real profit, to hire a property management company so I don't have to be managing this, so I can make it a hands-off type of investment. What is it that I have to do to line up to that? And as much as I'm about like being creative and investing in ways that are gonna to help you out to get started in this here, the no money down and low money down, I mean that's gonna be something that, yeah, you might kind of be incremental, and eventually you might be able to get to that. But ultimately, I'm sure there's something that you could do that's gonna help you achieve your ultimate end goal. Something you could do that's going to actually generate the money. And that's why we get a lot of people that want to be investors that come into real estate. They're like, hey, look, I want to sell real estate, make some commission money, bank up that commission money, and then once I've got enough commission money banked up, start investing in real estate. And what you're doing in that process there, and you could see how this is going to align with their purpose. We see a lot of these investors, they're very driven, very motivated, and you might look at them and say, what are they doing here getting their real estate license? They don't need to invest in real estate when they want to invest in real estate. Well, they're learning. They're getting in here, they're learning about the real estate industry. They're learning about this game so they could take it to the next level, so they could maximize what it is that they're trying to do, and they could actually make money in the process. I mean, tell me that doesn't align with the ultimate major purpose. You need money to invest. You found a way to learn what you want to invest in while still being able to make money. So like I said, you got to look at it from the right perspective. So you got to understand where it is that you're going. Now again, going back to tactical and practical. So what you want to be doing, and this is something that I do almost every single day, and I definitely recommend it is that you do it as well. And ideally, you want to write this down on paper. You could just kind of think about this, or maybe say it aloud, or I'm honest with you, I talk to myself sometimes. I have some pretty good conversations with myself sometimes, or I'm pretending I'm talking to somebody, I'm role-playing with an imaginary type of person, basically. No, I'm not crazy, but I'm putting my thoughts, I'm helping take them from up here where they're very intangible, and I'm making them more tangible. That's what you're doing when you're putting things on paper. When you're writing stuff down, that's how taking what it is that your thoughts and your ideas and your goals and your dreams are and putting them on paper, you're making it tangible. And even just saying it aloud is going to help you with that, because saying something is a lot more tangible than just thinking something. When you say something, it helps make it real. When you put it down on paper, it helps make it real. And you've maybe seen the people with like the dream boards and everything like that of maybe the things that they want. And this goes back to like the whole purpose thing. And this is where that saying, money can't buy happiness, tends to come in a lot. Yeah, I mean, if you get those things, you're not going to be done there. You're not going to be happy. You got to find something it is that you do. Not what you have, but what it is that you do that fulfills you. And this is why people volunteer and why people donate to charity, because it's not what they have, it's what they do that ultimately fulfills them. Yeah, the money's an essential part of that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, oh, you don't need money. You absolutely need money, because having the money is going to make what you want to do actually possible. So what it is that you want to do, if you want to donate to charity and you want to be the number one most charitable person in the world, or even if you don't want to be number one, you just want to make a difference in the world, I mean, there's only so much volunteer work you could do. You're only one person, and your time as a volunteer is worth a few bucks an hour. I mean, that's not a big, yes, it is a little difference, but you can make a lot bigger changes if you're able to use this free market that we have to basically generate money and generate income that's going to allow you to go help charity. Or maybe you're not a charitable person, which that's fine, to each their own, but maybe you want to help your family. Maybe your kid wants to go to a great school. And this is going to sound cliche, I mean, because you've seen this in TV shows and movies and all kinds of things like that. But what happens when they get accepted that school that they want to go to, but you don't have the money to afford that? But you make enough money where they don't qualify for financial aid. So you're in a situation now where, hey, look, you could go to this school and you could rack up all kinds of debts that you're going to be buried in student loans forever, or you could be in control of this situation, and you could be the one that goes out there and changes the world and is able to generate income and create wealth to be able to say, hey, look, you be in charge of having the smarts to get into the school, I'll finance that. If you get into the school, it'll be paid for. So, I mean, and that changes things. And that's all of a sudden, money doesn't make a difference. Yes, money does make a difference. Money makes a huge difference. Money is the ultimate difference maker, really. And you might have heard maybe money changes people and whatnot. It doesn't change people. It just shows who they really are. If they're a really caring, genuine person, they're going to be a really caring, genuine person. If money changes people is true, you wouldn't have people out there like Bill Gates that donates billions of dollars to charity, where he and Mark Zuckerberg and all these billionaires are Elon Musk, where he's out there and he's making money changing the world. He's out there making us into a greener, better world, and if something happens to this world, he's trying to get us on Mars too. So he's adding value. He's solving these huge, major problems, and when he does that, he's able to generate income and money, and he's changing the planet as a result of that. So you've got to think of what impact it is that you're making, what changes it is that you're making. And I know we're talking about Bill Gates here and Elon Musk and these titans of industry that have billions of dollars that are able to go out and drop $1 billion like it's nothing. Like they have some loose change, it's $1 billion that they're just dropping down somewhere. You don't have to be at that level. When you're at that level, you can make major impact, but you can make impact at that level. Going back to that first example we talked about, you're out there knocking on doors. You're out there knocking on a door for somebody that's been renting, that's given up on the dream or the thought of maybe purchasing a home. They've wanted to do it. It would benefit them. It would give them tax advantages. It would give them a better place to raise their kids. Maybe the apartment that they're renting, maybe it's like a 2-bedroom place, and there's like 4 of them living in there. It's like a family of 4, and they're all crammed in this little 2-bedroom place where these kids can now have their own room. They could have a backyard to play in. And all this could be possible for maybe even less than what they're paying in rent, probably even less than what they're paying in rent. You got to look at your market here and look at what's possible for when you go out there knocking on the doors. And a lot of this goes back to, again, understanding and knowing and getting a clear understanding of the situation it is that you're in, what the situation this person is you're trying to help is in. Because you can't help somebody if you don't know what their situation is like. You might have seen these cliche type of situations where somebody, they look like they're maybe some derelict person who's maybe they're kind of down. You look at them and you look down on them, but really they've got it going on, at least for what it is that they're doing. So you got to understand them, and the way you do that is you ask questions. You find out who it is that's living there. Maybe this is a family of 4 living in this apartment, but maybe it's just the single guy. Maybe it's this single girl. Maybe it's just this person, and that's fine for them. And you're not going to solve their problem. Don't try to solve a problem that's not there. That's going to get you frustrated. It's going to get them frustrated. You're both going to be frustrated, and that's where this ends badly. You've got your solution. You find out, you understand their situation to realize whether or not your solution will actually impact them, and you could change their life. You do that enough times, you'll get to be that titan of industry. The reason why these people, Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and all these people that have amassed massive amounts of wealth, the self-made millionaire types that are out there that have gone out and changed the world, it's doing that they're able to amass this wealth. They have a solution that applies to so many people that they're able to affect so many lives that maybe they're only making 50 cents. I mean, how much is Facebook making every time you log into Facebook? But every time people are in the Facebook, they're solving that problem of being able to connect with each other. And sure, that might only be a half of a cent it is off the ad revenue that they're getting from when you're logging in there, but do that 1 billion times, and now all of a sudden we've got some serious revenue. So if you're able to solve a problem, that's the prerequisite to be able to make any money anywhere. Whether you're selling products to other businesses, I mean, yeah, the business could buy it, and you might make a quick buck off of that, but what's going to happen if you're not solving their problem is they're going to be unhappy with their purchase. And at the very least, they're not going to do business with you again. So if you're not solving a problem for them, if you con them into, and that's really what's happening, if this is truly not their problem, yet you're selling them a product to solve a problem that they don't have, that's maybe where you're kind of like maybe scamming somebody or conning somebody or something like that. And that's something that's a problem with the free market, with this whole basically creation of value, creation of a solution to a problem and then selling it. It comes down to actually solving somebody's problem. And again, this could be a problem they don't know that they have. Or maybe a problem that they think they cannot solve. So you got to think of this and look at it in the right light of what problem it is that you're solving, what problem you can solve, and then understand the consumer it is that you're dealing with here and figure out whether or not your solution could actually tie into that. We're going to take another quick commercial break here, but I want to hear from you guys what problems it is that you have, what obstacles you're trying to overcome, or what is it that you do to stay motivated, overcome obstacles, and make sure you're aligning with your purpose every day. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Put those in the comments and make sure to share with your friends. I'm John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to change your life, enhance your business, jumpstart your real estate business. Or today we're talking about really kind of very umbrella topic that applies for all aspects of your life. That's why we're here to change your life today, because we're talking about staying motivated. And whether it's you're trying to make a sale, you're trying to change somebody's life, you're trying to introduce the dangers of lead to the world, you're trying to introduce the dangers of non-organic foods to the world, you're trying to introduce the dangers of not working out in the world, you're trying to introduce the financial implications for renting versus owning a property, you're facing an uphill battle with whatever these things. Maybe you're just trying to get out of bed in the morning. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I mean, I'm the king of the snooze button. So, and it takes some motivation for me to get out of bed in the morning. So I got to tell myself, hey, look, it's time to start the day. I don't want to get up. It's warm in bed. It's warm. I keep the AC nice and low. And usually I have the AC kick off. They got the programmable deal, so that way it'll be a little bit warmer, help me get out of bed in the morning, so it's not I'm thrust into such a situation. But I mean, I'm sleepy, I'm dehydrated, I don't want to get up. It takes some motivation to get out of bed in the morning, regardless of how motivated of a person you may be. Or it might not just be dealing with getting out of bed. Maybe you have no problem with that. My girlfriend, she's a completely different story. She hears the alarm, she's up like that, like a toaster oven. I'm like, oh, no, put me back down. Let me another 5 minutes. That 5 minutes could turn into 30 minutes or whatever it may be. There's actually this really... So once you've understand why it is that you need, before you could do anything, you got to understand the why. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could lay in bed all day, but I'm not going to do that. I might lay there for like an extra 5 minutes, but I'm like, all right, I got to get up out of bed. But what I found that's really helped me kind of spring me up and get me up a little bit faster, or whenever it is that I'm going into something that I don't necessarily want to do, or I'm thinking and I've got these thoughts going in my head and these things are brewing in my head, all these false experiences appearing real, that whole acronym of fear, false experiences appearing real, all these things going on, come to you guys here, is the internet going to work? Is Facebook going to go down? Is the cameras going to go down here? Is Frontier gonna cut a line somewhere and all of a sudden our stream gets cut off? I mean, there's all these things and these false experiences appearing real. There's no reason for me to think about it, but if I don't take action, if I actually don't get out there and start taking action, these false experiences are just going to start building up, and they're going to start building up and pushing up further and further, and soon I'm going to be drowning through them, and I'm just going to be paralyzed by the fear. Or maybe it's you're trying to invest invest in a piece of property, or maybe you're trying to start some sort of business. Get out there and take the action. You might have heard the term before, paralysis by analysis, meaning you're paralyzed by trying to analyze what it is that you're trying to do. So don't get paralyzed when you're trying to analyze. You got to get out there and just say, hey, look, I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to shoot from the hip. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm going to learn from those mistakes. And ultimately, I'm going to get better. Don't let those false experiences build up inside of you, because that's going to stress you out. And I know there's not exact sciences and correlations with this here, but talk to a stressed person. They're going to be more sickly. They're going to be more diseased. They're going to overall just be unhappier with life than somebody that doesn't have stress. The more you're able to eliminate the stress, and there's some science, I say there's not science behind this, but there is science behind this here. When you get stressed out, you get these adrenaline chemicals, hormones, whatever it is that they're called, flowing through your body. And these adrenaline chemicals are the opposite of the chemicals that your body uses to help reinvigorate itself and regrow itself and whatnot. So when you get this adrenaline rushing through your body from the stress that you're having, you're going to shorten your life. You're going to contract diseases. Cancer is going to be able to thrive in your body, and all these things. These statements are not evaluated by the FDA or whoever's in charge of medical statements and whatnot. So take from this what you will. But this all goes back to trying to avoid this stress here. And you let these false experiences start appearing real in your mind. You start thinking about these things that could happen, the what ifs. You just got to get out there and do. Just take action. There's a book, and I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't finish this book because I kind of got the gist of it from the beginning, and they didn't need to keep convincing me on the idea. I probably should go and finish the book because I haven't been implementing this as much as I should be, but it's called the 5-second rule, and don't know exactly the name of the author, but check it out, the 5-second rule. I'm sure you could Google it and she'll come right up. So this 5-second rule says, hey, you've got something to do. You know you need to do it. You already established the why you need to do something here. But maybe you have this paralysis kind of occur. Maybe you're trying to analyze this too much, or maybe you have these false experiences that you start thinking about that are you're like, what if this happens? The 5-second rule says you just count down in your head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And you just do. You just do. The whole Nike saying, you just do it. So this 5-second rule, it's kind of a neat story of where she kind of came up with this here. And she was having some bouts of I don't know if she calls it depression, but she was definitely having kind of like those negative feelings, and she was in this transition period in her life. And I'll tell you what, I don't think she discussed this in her book, but she wasn't aligned with her purpose. She was doing some radio shows and doing this and that, and I think she maybe alluded to this a little bit, but she didn't call it out for what it is. She wasn't aligned with her ultimate major purpose. She didn't have a clear goal of what she needed to be doing and where she needed to be. She had an idea of where she wanted to be, but you got to get clear and understand what it is that you ultimately want to do with your life, what impact it is that you want to make, what money maybe it is that you want to make. But ultimately, the money is just a made-up thing. We'll do another episode and talk about how made-up and fictitious money is. I might get in trouble for telling you guys that stuff, but this idea basically of what it is that you're doing. You think of that enough and what it is that you want to do, you'll start finding the solutions and what it is that you need to do. But then the part 2 of this here is actually doing it, because that's going to tear down your levels of motivation as well. You won't feel motivated when you know what you need to do, but you're just too scared to do it or too afraid to do it or whatever it may be. I'll tell you, for the longest time, I mean, growing up, I was terrified of roller coasters and terrified of heights, and what would happen to me? Looking back on it, it almost seems a little bit silly. I mean, at the time, and I still remember this clearly, just like freaking out with these. And there's still like some roller coasters I won't go on because, these false experiences still appear real. I'm like, well, what if it goes off the tracks? What if the safety harness breaks? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this? What if that? And this doesn't have to be something with heights or getting on an airplane or getting on a roller coaster or whatever it may be that's these false experiences occurring that start appearing real, and you're like, no, I don't want to do this. Maybe it's just you're thinking about picking up the phone. You've got your phone here and you're looking at it and you're saying, I should really do some cold calls. I should really call that client back. And again, this is really just to kind of really show you how these false experiences start appearing real. Let's say you already went out and showed somebody some houses, and this is a big problem that not just real estate agents have, but really any sort of business that's still trying to get a deal from somebody, is they start putting in some work, but they don't follow up with it after the fact. You might have heard before, the fortune is in the follow-up. But you got to be motivated to do that follow-up. And if you're sitting there looking at that phone and you're saying, I really need to call that person. They really, we really hit it off at the showings I did for them the other day. But God, what What if they already found somebody else that they want to work with? What if they don't want to buy a house anymore? What if this? What if that? What if that? And all of a sudden you're so much further away from this phone, and that phone, all of a sudden, if you pick it up, it's like you're thinking it's like a bomb. You're going to pick up this phone and your world's just going to explode and your life's going to be over. And again, I'm being dramatic here, but that's what these false experiences are that start appearing real. What you got to do, and this is where the 5-second rule is great, don't think about this. And the 5-second rule, it helps you avoid these negative thoughts. When you think, okay, I need to do this, you just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like you're launching a rocket, and say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, you're dialing, you're on the phone with them, maybe they don't answer, maybe they hang up with you, whatever, that's over with, you're on to your next calls now. So don't let these false experiences appear real. That's the whole acronym of fear. False experiences appearing real. Don't let these what-if scenarios that probably aren't going to happen stop you. Now, you got to be careful with this stuff here because I'm all for just going out there and just doing it, but you're not going to see me, and to this day, I'm probably not going to go skydiving. Never gone skydiving. I would never jump out of a perfectly good airplane. That's the purpose of an airplane, to make sure that you're able to travel safely a great distance pretty fast. Now, if I need to, if that plane's going to blow up, if it's going down, if I got a parachute, I'm jumping. Even if it's going down and I don't have a parachute, I'd still probably jump out of it. But the thought of maybe going skydiving, I'm sure it's exhilarating. I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's a life-changing experience. But, there's those what-if scenarios, those false experiences appearing real. And that's okay. If you don't want to go skydiving because you're afraid the chute won't open and that the backup chute won't work open and that the backup or however many redundant systems it is that they have in there, if you're worried about that, okay, that's one thing. That's life or death. But if you're starting to get fears over picking up the phone because you're afraid of rejection, that's what you got to get over, because that rejection is not going to end your life. You got to put these in perspective. And like I said, the knowledge is power behind this. When you understand what you say, okay, if they say no, if they say that they don't want to talk to me or they can't talk right now, and that's maybe another false experience that you're talking about. He's like, I should be calling them, but what if they're out at the grocery shopping, or oh, it's kind of late, maybe they're out at a movie, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's a weekend, they probably don't want to talk about business stuff right now, or whatever it is that you're thinking about, you won't know until you know. It goes back to understanding the consumer that you're trying to service. And what worst case scenario with this, and that's where you got to think of this and put it in a real perspective. Don't let these false experiences start getting dramatic and you have like some Hollywood thriller script going on in your head of what could happen if you make this phone call, that you're going to get like Liam Neeson on the other end, and he's going to be telling you that, hey, if you put this phone down, your life's gonna end. That's not going to happen. That's Hollywood with these false experiences. It's a made-up story. That's not going to happen when you're trying to call back a client. So you got to understand, you got to minimize this whole paralysis that you get from the analysis of the situation, because you shouldn't be pre-analyzing the situation. You should take what they're saying, what they're telling you, the questions that they're answering for you. When you're asking the right questions, you understand who they are, when's the good time to call them, when's this, when's that, and maybe you won't have the right answer all the time, but you got to have the communication with them to understand everything that's going on. So really this all comes back to the step one if you're trying to stay motivated. Let's try to recap this all up, because we've and this is probably been one of our better episodes we've done here as far as advice that you could implement, because this will work in anything other than just real estate. Number one, you have to know what your end goal is, what your purpose in life is, what it is that you want to do in life, and what it is that you want to get out of the world. Number two, you need to know what actions it takes to get to that. And number three, you have to put your life in perspective and put what it is that you're doing in perspective and how that aligns with your goal, and how that benefits everyone around you and everybody's lives that you're changing, and so on and so forth. But it comes back to just looking at this from the different perspective. Don't think that the phone's going to blow up if you go make a call to somebody, or that you're going to go door knocking and you're going to get abducted and whatnot. That could happen. That is a slightly real possibility. But hey, if you're worried about that, maybe bring a dog with you, maybe bring a gun with you, maybe bring a taser with you, maybe on the Apple Watch, you got the little SOS feature, so something happens, you're like, oh, sorry, police are on their way. So, there's just so many things. Maybe get yourself a life alert if you're worried about this stuff here. It's just such a reality that's probably never going to happen. It will occur. There's a very small percentage, like a tenth of a percent. That's not an exact statistic, but that just doesn't really happen. So don't let these false experiences paralyze you and keep you from living up to the fullest potential in your life. Figure out what it is that you want to do. And what it is that's going to ultimately get you to that end goal. And that's how you stay motivated. And I know we talked about a lot here, and a lot of this is going to have to go back to you actually applying these principles. You have to apply these principles. You can't just try, you have to apply. And that's all I've got for you guys today on this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for liking. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for everything. Thanks for living and enjoying life. Thanks for telling your friends about this stuff. Thanks for tuning in next week at 12 noon Eastern time for next week's episode of State of Real Estate. And thanks for checking out the website or giving us a call if you're thinking about starting a career in real estate. And, I'm going to seem like a really salesy type of person here. Don't think, just do. But really, that relates in so many other things. I mean, if you call us up asking about a career in real estate, we're going to tell you about a career in real estate. We're not going to force you. We don't already have your credit card numbers and automatically going to charge you for things and stuff like that. That's your choice to bring that to you. So just like this, like any other situation, you got to go out there and take some action. And you're probably not going to die unless you're jumping out of an airplane or jumping off of a bridge with a bungee cord attached to you or something like that. Don't let these false experiences kind of tear you up. But that's all I got for you guys today. Again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you tune in next week for next week's episode, 12 noon every Friday, State of Real Estate. I'm John Carissimo. Thanks for tuning in. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation. Tampa.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.